So if you're an ESPHome user, you've probably seen those API and OTA passwords, and do you really need them? Yeah, I'm selfishly making this video to link in my Discord, so shut up and watch. You can hate me in the comments later. So I'm just going to jump straight in. I know we've been there. You make your new device, you hit the new device button, and you probably don't read half the crap on the screen. You just start, like me, start mashing continue and put in whatever name. Yep, you're ready to make your device. You don't read all this stuff, and you go ahead and say skip. I'm ready. There's my device. Well, by default, you'll notice we have the API key and the OTA password. So here's the thing. Do you need these damn things? Well, they're two different totally things, and it makes up a unique API key and a unique OTA password for every single device. It's a good thing and a bad thing. Now, this is all going to be the same, whether it's ESP, ESP32, 8266, backend, whatever it may be, that whatever chip ESPHome supports. And it's basically encryption between Home Assistant and that ESP device. Now, are you using this on a public network? If you're using this on a public network like a university, a large business, you have a lot of crazy people on the network, maybe you should, because you could potentially end up with a man-in-the-middle attack and someone could turn off your light bulbs. I don't use a public network. I really don't need encryption on my stuff. It's default for me. And I really wish there was a different default in ESPHome that I could just say, no, I don't want encryption. I don't want the OTA password. Now, once you do kill the encryption key like that, you're okay in doing that as long as you can install it and put a new bin file on it. And then it will get picked up and you won't need the encryption. It's a little bit lighter weight on the ESP chips. You know, they're doing a whole lot to begin with, and I try not to bog them down with extra stuff that really isn't needed. Now, OTA password. Let me show you something. You see this here, OTA password? You may be tempted. Well, I'm just going to get rid of it, right? And just delete it. Don't. I'm going to say that again. Do not do this. Hope you have backups of your OTA password, because this is not how you take your password off. It's not how you change the password. Now, you can put one on your devices by simply putting in password and then whatever password you want, and then reflashing the bin to it without any issue. So one of the issues is if you nuke the password and you try to write to it, it's going to give you an error message, no password given, and it locks you out. I mean, that is the job of the OTA password. You got to think about it. If you've got in a network where you've got a lot of people out there, they could potentially, brick a bunch of your ESP devices. That would suck. Some of them you may not have even soldered because you did to your cloud cutter or way back to your convert, and you really can't put your bin file back on them. That would suck. So I do understand the necessary need for that. Now, if you same thing for a home network, if you got a bunch of little script kiddies that are on your home network and your kids are giving out the passwords or whatever, you probably should look at doing a guest Wi-Fi SSID. A lot of different networks and out there have that guest password that isolates things from your own devices. And yeah, I know you Ubiquity shields, y'all can probably spin up another VLAN in about 8.2 seconds, but be careful, you could lock yourself out of doing stuff there as well. So be careful with that. Another thing is, you could save yourself from yourself with that OTA password. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's take an example. So say, for instance, I've got a Shelly 1 here, ESP8266. I've got an S31, ESP8266. Well, say for some reason, DNS and MDNS and everything, it gets screwy. Entries get stale at times. Think about if for some reason now the IP addresses on these two swapped up. I know different things could happen and whatever, but think about if you've got like 100 different devices on your network, it potentially could happen depending on your DHCP server. So then when you go to write that Shelly 1 to your, with ESPHome, actually the S31's in the place. So then it gets the bin file for your Shelly 1. And yeah, this was doing your garage door. Yeah, then you're going to piss off the wife or whatever. And now you've got a mess on your hands trying to figure out which device is what. So one way that I saw that you could help yourself out to prevent your idiot self from sending the wrong bin to the wrong IP address is using the OTA password. But Travis, you just said, why do we need the OTA password? It's stupid, right? Well, not really. So what I would do, because if you ever forget the OTA password, now I know some people go in here and set a secret and set one OTA password to all their devices. Not a bad idea, kind of helps you out, but doesn't save you in this case. So think about this. Is right here, I've got my Node MCU test that I'm messing with. I've got a password set, and you'll notice when I highlight over it, it highlights also the name and the friendly name. So I'm just going to set my OTA password to the same name as the device itself. And then if I ever forget what was the password, well, I'll just go look at the host name. So you could look in your Wi-Fi and see something that just connected. Go look in your DHCP server. Boom, I've got the host name in Node MCU test. I know that's my password in case I did lose my YAML file, and I could put it right back. So simple there. And since it is unique to the device itself, since it is the name, it would prevent you from sending the wrong bin to the wrong device and definitely screwing things up. But I just want to get rid of it, Travis. I don't want to deal with this stupid password crap. Well, you can't just do that. Let me just show you exactly right here. Now, I'm not a big deleter on stuff. If you put the hashtag, depending on your age, or the pound sign, and yeah, I use the pound sign, by the way. If you want to do a little trick, if you do want to do a bunch of lines at once, if you highlight them and then hit Control/, it will comment out all those lines at once. And if you do the same and then Control/, it will uncomment. I've been there. Don't try to add a bunch of pound signs like 20 different times and 20 lines. Just highlight it and hit Control/. I'm going to send wirelessly over. It's going to compile. You get the dreaded message, ESP request password, but no password given. And if you don't have it, you're flashing it manually, which means you would have to break out USB TTL, whatever it may be, or hopefully it's just a Node MCU and you could just, plug it in, or a Wemos D1 Mini and, send it over. If you have those, that's totally fine. You can just send over the bin manually. But to remove the password, first you need to leave it in there. And then we're going to jump over to the ESPHome docs, where they have a section. If you scroll to OTA update component, it's in the main page, scroll down to the bottom, and then it says update an existing password. I'm just going to copy this entire block, and I'm going to go ahead and paste it in right here. We can't have two ESPHome blocks, so I'm going to get rid of this one, and then we'll pull that up. It's going to be fine there, and can't have two OTA blocks. Now, I've already have that. I already have my password. I've got this line. Let's go ahead and throw that there, because then you have to give this OTA component its own little ID for it to run this new password. Now you see it says new password. Don't leave it set to new password. If you want to nuke it, just do double quotes. So you'll do quote, quote, not single quote, but the double quote, no space, double quote, just like shown there. You can go ahead and save it. Do make sure it has your password in there. Hit install. Do the wirelessly. Now you'll see it upload. Make sure it gets a successful upload and a successful boot. Because on boot, that's when it's going to set your password to the new password, which we set as blank. Sometimes it's normal for it to say, hey, it can't connect. Just be patient. So once it boots, hit the stop button that's behind my big head. And then you can actually use the little trick I just talked about. Highlight those, hit Control/, and then we'll come down here and comment out Node MCU test, which is our password. I'm not deleting it in case I did screw it up. Install wirelessly, because now you're going to put a new bin file on it with no password set. See, we got a successful upload. We don't get that dreaded message. And now we have no password on our ESPHome devices. So it's that simple to do. If you got some other tips and tricks that you're using, or maybe you say, hey, we should use the password and doing some other stuff, or different attacks, or maybe I'm the idiot here and not using a password on these things, definitely let me know down below. Well, I do appreciate you watching. All the YouTube members, Patreon subscribers, definitely couldn't do it without you, and you know the drill.
Click all those buttons, and y'all take care. What is it again? Press all the buttons, and y'all take care.